Welcome to Litbit channel. Today we will see the lesson The Town by the Sea by Amitav Ghosh. Amitav Ghosh is an Indian writer born on July 11, 1956 in Calcutta, India and grew up in India, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. His works include historical fiction and non-fiction books that talk about colonialism and climate change. His early life and experience have deeply influenced his works, which often explore themes of identity, culture, and the impact of historical events on individual lives. Some of his notable books are The Circle of Reason, The Shadow Lines, The Calcutta Chromosome, The Glass Palace, and The Hungry Tide. About his schooling, Ghosh attended the prestigious all-boys boarding school, the June School in Dehradun, where he developed an interest in writing and literature. About his literary beginning, during his school day, Ghosh regularly contributed fiction and poetry to the school magazine, the June School Weekly, which was edited by his classmate Vikram Seth. He also co-founded the magazine History Times with his friend Ram Kuha. About his degree, after completing his schooling, Ghosh went on to study at St. Stephen College and the Delhi School of Economics, both part of Delhi University. Then he was awarded the Padma Shri in 2007, one of the India's highest honor, and was the first English language writer to Blue Metropolis Festival in Montreal in 2011. Then Ghosh was awarded the Inlac Foundation Scholarship to pursue his D.Phil in social anthropology at St. Edmund Hall, Oxford, under the supervision of British social anthropologist Peter Lee Anident. About the passage, traveling through the Andaman and Nicobar Island in the waves of the tsunami that devastating them in December 2004. Amitav Ghosh meets a man whom he refers to simply as a director. The director has lost his wife and daughter, and his house and belongings have all been destroyed by the tidal wave. Ghosh effectively used the story of this individual to reflect on the pathos of the people left behind when an accident has robbed them of their family, belonging, and their sense of identity. He wonders if others would have reacted to the loss. The stoicism that the director exhibits, he comes to the conclusions that in his reactions to the pain he has suffered, the director has found the most powerful response to a truly painful loss. The story is set in the aftermath of the 2004 tsunami that hit the Andaman and Nicobar Island on December 26, 2004. The narrator, Amitav Ghosh, visits the island and witnesses the devastation and destruction caused by the tsunami. The story is a personal account of the tragedy and its impact on the people of the island. The background of the story is based on the devastating effect of the 2004 tsunami that hit the Andaman and Nicobar Island. The story is first-hand account of the tragedy that befell of the people of the islands. The story revolves around a scientist which goes to Malacca in a search of his wife and daughter. The essay is the heart-wrenching account of the tragedy and the loss that the scientist faces. Let's see the character one by one. The narrator, scientist, the protagonist of the story, a scientist who is in Nepal Valor. When the tsunami hits, he is a father and a husband of the family. Then, as a scientist, he is trained to observe and report facts, which is reflected in his narrative style. Then, despite his detachment, he is deeply emotional and vulnerable, particularly when it comes to his family. He feels guilty for not being with his family when the tsunami strikes and for not being able to protect them. Then he is desperate to find his family and will stop at anything to locate them. Then he reflects on the tragedy and its impact on him and the world around him. The events leaves him traumatized and he struggles to come to terms with the loss. Despite the personal tragedy, he retains his scientific curiosity and observes the tsunami impact on the environment. The narrator character adds depth and complexity to the story, exploring the human side of a natural disaster. Next one is the scientist wife. The narrator wife who is in Malacca with her children. When the tsunami strikes, her fate is unknown for most of the story. The Town by the Sea by Amitav Ghosh is a significant character. Although she is not physically present for most of the story, her character can be interfered to the narrator's thoughts and emotions. She is a devoted mother and wife concerned about her family well-being. Then she supports her husband's scientific pursuits and is understanding of his absence. Then the narrator memories of her are vivid and fond, indicating a strong bond between them. Then she presents the ordinary life to the narrator once had, which is now lost. Then, like other characters in the story, she is not named, emphasizing the universality of the tragedy. Her absence for most of the story creates a sense of longing and tension, highlighting the narrator's dispositions to find her. Her fate is unknown for most of the story, leaving the reader in suspense and emphasizing the uncertainty of life. The scientist's wife is a vital character, and her presence is felt throughout the story, even in her absence. The narrator daughters, who is in Malacca with her mother and brother, she is lost in the tsunami. She is a child who has been torn away from her family and her life. Then her fate is uncertain and she is at the mercy of the tsunami destruction. Her father's love for her is evident in his despite search for her and his family. Her disappearance represents the loss and devastation caused by the tsunami. Like other characters in the story, she is not named, emphasizing the universality of the tragedy. Her fate is ultimately tragic as she is lost in the tsunami, leaving her father with a sense of guilt and grief. The scientific daughter character serves to highlight the human cost of natural disasters and the unbearable loss that families face in such tragedies. Scientist's son, the narrator's son, who is in Malacca with his mother and sister, he is found alive but injured. He is a 13 years old boy who survives the tsunami and its aftermath. He is able to find help and support despite the chores and destruction around him. He managed to contact his father and provide him with information about his family situation. He is deeply affected by the loss of his mother and sister, and the experience leaves him scared. His survival and resourcefulness offer a glimmer of hope in the midst of tragedy. He is eventually reunited with his father, providing a sense of closure and comfort. The scientist's son character serves to highlighting the resilience and strength of children in the face of adversity and the importance of family bond in times of crisis. The characters are government official, an official who provides the scientist with the information about the disaster and the impacts on Malacca. He is a representative of the government and his response are formal and official. He provides the scientist with information about the disaster and its impact on Malacca. He is detached from the personal tragedy of the scientist family, focusing on the larger picture. Then, he presents a realistic view of the situation without sugarcoating the truth. He represents the government's response to the disaster, which is often slow and inadequate. He is limited in his ability to help the scientist, highlighting the limitations of government support in times of crisis. The government official character serves to contrast the personal, emotional experience of the scientist with the more formal, official response to the disaster, highlighting the tensions between individual tragedy and the bureaucratic process. Next one is the town people. The people of the town who are struggling to come to terms with the devastations and loss caused by the tsunami, they are seen helping each other and searching for loved ones. In this story, there are no other named characters in the story. The focus is on the director and his family, and the town people are more of the collective presence. The characters are not named in the story, which adds to the sense of universality and tragedy. Let's see the lesson in detail. The director was in Port Palace on December 25, 2004, traveling for official reason while his family was in Malacca. Then he spent the night in the Haddock Circuit House, which is close to the water. On the morning of December 26th, he experienced an earthquake that shook his bed. His wife was calling from Malacca during the earthquake, but he decided to cut off the call and run outside. After the earthquake, he attempted to call his wife back but was unable to connect, possibly due to network issue. Then he witnessed the water in the harbor rising rapidly and ships swirling, indicating the impending tsunami. The director realized that Car Nicobar and other Nicobar Islands are low-lying, which increased his anxiety. Then the word of the tsunami reached the waterfront, causing him to frantic about the safety of his family. The director rapidly dialed the number to reach his family, but initially faced busy signals or no answer. Then he learned too that some survivors were found, indicating his 30-year-old son, who was sealing to the rafter of the church. His son described how the family was in their bedroom when the earthquake struck and how they ran to the drawing room, but the house was destroyed by the tsunami. The boy managed to hold on to something fixed to the earth during the waves, but when the water receded, he realized the destructions around him. Then the boy revealed that his mother and sister had just disappeared, leading to his emotional breakdown. Then the director felt heartbroken for his son, knowing he had been struck, and worried that his son might think he would be blamed. Then the director utilized connections with local administration and officers to secure a flight the next day to search for his family. Upon returning, he searched through the rubble for his wife and daughter, but found no trace of them. Then, after the search, the director and his son moved in with friends in Port Bala. Then the narrator offered to accompany the director on his search, sensing he needed company, and the director accepted. Then see the next page. The island interior was sparsely inhabited, with most of the population concreted along the seafront. The dense tropical jungle remained largely undisturbed. Then the tsunami health selectively destroyed human structure, erasing villages while leaving nature, such as the coconut palm and the front canopy, largely unharmed. Medical camp run by the Indo-Serbian Border Police was established at the district library, which itself was unharmed. The director asked a doctor about his family but received no news or updates. Then the area showed signs of the tsunami destruction, including pools of stagnant water and debris from destroyed homes. And the director recognized and pointed out his belongings, including a blue aristocrat suitcase and a steel trunk, both of which had been looted. The director felt vindicated when he identified his name on the trunk, asserting that everything he had been telling was true. The director discovered that records from his office, which contained 13 years old of research, were lost in the tsunami, evidenced by the overturned wooden cabinet filled with mimeographed data sheet from the Malaria Research Center. Then see the next page. The director found several photographic slides, some of which were still intact despite water damage. They appeared to show bacteria magnified under a microscope. Then the director belongings had been carried nearly a kilometer from his home by the tsunami, extensive reach of the waves. The narrator observed the remains of Malacca seafront, where only five structures remained: a school, a bungalow, a arched gateway, a Murugan temple, and the skeleton of a church. The church structure with its arches had served the director's son during the tsunami. The director led them to the concrete foundations of his house, the only part of the wooden structure that had survived. After that, the director reflected on his wife, who had been an English teacher, lamenting that she could have achieved much more but never had the opportunity due to his unsuccessful transfer application. The director was not receptive to sympathy and kept his emotions about his family honored inside, rarely expressing them. The director pointed out his daughter's yellow paint box in the rubble, mentioning that she was talented in painting and had even won a prize from Hyderabad. The flatness in his voice revealed deep grief. Next page. Despite spotting his daughter's paint box in the rubble, the director refused to pick it up, expressing that it would not bring anything back. The narrator reflected on how, in such moments of extremity, choices are not conscious decisions but rather expressions of one's innermost self, free of doubt or hesitation. Then the director's choice was made with absolute clarity, without any hesitation, reflecting his deep emotional state in the face of loss. The director acknowledged the futility of words in such tragic situation where action seems more valuable than thoughts or writing. Then the narrator realized that the director's manner of choosing what to preserve symbolized a powerful defense of the life of the mind, even in the face of overwhelming loss of desolation. Thank you viewers. Thanks for watching this video.